Theoretically, Maid of Sker should be a horror game that I would drool over with love for its creepy atmosphere, slow-paced run-and-hide gameplay, and pulling inspiration from British folklore. However, after playing through the game's 4 to 5 hour campaign, that drool of love has dried up to bitterness and disappointment. From its underdeveloped story and characters, lackluster enemy designs, and not much secrets to discover. Maid of Sker takes place in a grand hotel that has fallen from grace, now run by violent, faceless blind men that only seek out to pummel you to death. You play as Thomas, the blank-faced character. He is requested by his girlfriend to come rescue her from the clutches of evil that has taken over the hotel. Venturing through the hotel, Thomas learns very little about the people who run the place, the monster they have captured, and the residents that once lived there. I believe my biggest problem with Maid of Skirts is that the story has a fun skeletal frame using British folklore, but I guess since the developers are vegetarian or something because they didn't put any meat on the bones. The game starts out with Thomas going to rescue his lovely from the madness that absorbed the once grand hotel. You arrive there, and within 30 minutes of venturing through, you will already figure out the entire plot. Congratulations, Sherlock Holmes! How'd you crack the case? By simply looking around, reading some notes, and listening to recordings. I'm not kidding that the plot is thinner than a toothpick. You can figure out the entire plot and secrets within a short time span. Well, that may have to do something with the game's short campaign. It also doesn't help that most notes and audio recordings repeat the same information you already figured out 2 hours ago. None of the information or secrets were subtle in the slightest. The game literally tells you the twist of a character instead of cleverly building it up so the player would question the motives of a certain character. I wish I could go into more details about that, but that would be going to spoiler territory. The story as a whole could put you to sleep, but the characters are great for melatonin replacements. They have no interesting personality traits to get you to care or invest in. Their minds are one-tracked, making them flatter than stale flatbread. Oddly enough, and pointlessly, Afraid of Shirts has you select your character's dialogue. Why? This doesn't change the character's personality, character interactions, or sequence of events. I guess the developers were trying to cut corners on production costs, so they only hired a voice actor to make grunts and screams that they can recycle for 20 billion times. So the story and characters are severely underfed. Does that mean the horror elements in the gameplay are the saving grace? Yes and no. It can get intense and nerve-wracking at times when you are slowly inching your way through the place and turn the corner to see a monster there in front of your face. Praying, hoping that your character didn't skip cardio days so he can hold his breath long enough to get a safe distance away from the well-fed scarecrows. Atmosphere is crafted decently enough to get you into the horror groove. Adding to the tension is that healing items and ammo is limited in the game, so you have to be careful and calculate your next move. However, there are numerous problems that plague the gaming and horror experience. Their key ingredient to horror is jump scares. Jump scares is the ranch dressing on the dark chocolate cherry cake. It's annoying and makes the experience bitter. Not only was the subtlety malnourished in the story, the subtlety in the horror department was hanged on the flimsiest tree. The horror experience continues to decline on the mountain bathed in lotion. Enemies lack any visual impact besides their faces being smeared away. You can easily brush past them as long as you don't get stuck on anything and can quickly barge into safe rooms or elevators. The only real threat in the game is the Chinese market version of Mr. X. However, the introduction of not Mr. X is where Maid of Turts breaks the established rules. Early in the game, it establishes that all enemies are blind and requires their prey to create noise to hunt. That rule is broken when the dollar store Mr. X busts down the walls and proceeds to chase you until you reach a safe room. Then, he will proceed to chase you for all eternity until you die of boredom. This enemy is severely broken. Not only does he do a lot of damage, but he can hear you from the other side of the universe. crouching and holding your breath only mitigates his awareness of you by 0.1%. Seriously, what am I supposed to do here? I hide in the safe room and wait for him to leave, but the moment I take one step outside, he comes right back. It gets worse after his boss fight. Not only does he predictably come back, the grunts join him as well. Here's a recipe for disaster. If you alert the grunts, then he's alerted. If he's alerted, then he and the grunts will chase you into a safe room. I hope you like this safe room, because it is now your new run-down studio apartment. Steroid Scarecrow and regular grunts both alert each other. Since he's always alerted, that means every enemy's alerted. So you are stuck in this vicious cycle until you reset your save file. The only method that I found to be effective to get through the second floor is to bolt through and hope he doesn't rack up your hospital bill. You can keep a good pace away from them, but that makes exploring quite difficult. Speaking of exploration, the exploration in this game is almost pointless. You can find notes, audio recordings, music dolls, healing items, and ammo for your thingamajig. However, I already stated that notes and audio recordings don't have much interesting story details. The music dolls don't have any visual flair to them or add anything to the experience, except for 100% completion. So the only thing that's worth a rat's tuchus is the healing items and ammo. And like I said, those are very limited in the game. So if you are risking your life heading to any floor with a locked door that you now have the key for, hoping there's a healing item or ammo inside because you are in a serious pickle, most likely than not, you'll only get a boring note that restates information or a music doll. When that happened to me, I wanted to shove the music doll up the game's butthole. To make matters worse, your character can't examine anything in the environment. No interesting comments or helpful insight into this madness. All of these problems make exploration a chore and not enjoyable. Honestly, the majority of the game wasn't really enjoyable. Yeah, sure, I had some horror fun here and there, but mostly bored. The characters and story have the lasting appeal of walking past strangers on the street. Gameplay is decent until you reach the second floor, then it becomes an unstable mess. Exploration doesn't offer much value to explore every inch of the place, and the collectibles aren't worth the trips. There isn't much value in this game, but hey, if you still enjoy the game, then good for you. Me, on the other hand, I did not enjoy this. I'm giving Maid of Sker a 4 out of 10.